Palm OS is a mobile operating system initially developed by Palm, Inc., for personal digital assistants in 1996. Palm OS was designed for ease of use with a touchscreen-based graphical user interface. It is provided with a suite of basic applications for personal information management. Later versions of the OS have been extended to support smartphones. Several other licensees have manufactured devices powered by Palm OS. Following Palm's purchase of the Palm trademark, the currently licensed version from Access was renamed Garnet OS. In 2007, Access introduced the successor to Garnet OS, called Access Linux Platform, and in 2009, the main licensee of Palm OS, Palm, Inc., switched from Palm OS to WebOS for their forthcoming devices. Creator and ownership. Palm OS was originally developed under the direction of Jeff Hawkins at Palm Computing, Inc. Palm was later acquired by U.S. Robotics Corp., which in turn was later bought by 3Com, which made the Palm subsidiary an independent publicly traded company on March 2, 2000. In January 2002, Palm set up a wholly owned subsidiary to develop and license Palm OS, which was named Palm Source. Palm Source was then spun off from Palm as an independent company on October 28, 2003. Palm became a regular licensee of Palm OS, no longer in control of the operating system. In September 2005, Palm Source announced that it was being acquired by Access. In December 2006, Palm gained perpetual rights to the Palm OS source code from Access. With this, Palm can modify the licensed operating system as needed without paying further royalties to Access. Together with the May 2005 acquisition of full rights to the Palm brand name, only Palm can publish releases of the operating system under the name of Palm OS. As a consequence, on January 25, 2007, Access announced a name change to their current Palm OS operating system, now titled Garnet OS. OS Overview. Palm OS is a proprietary mobile operating system. Designed in 1996 for Palm Computing, Inc.'s new Pilot PDA, it has been implemented on a wide array of mobile devices, including smartphones, wristwatches, handheld gaming consoles, barcode readers and GPS devices. Palm OS versions earlier than 5.0 run on Motorola Freescale Dragon Ball processors. From version 5.0 onwards, Palm OS runs on ARM architecture-based processors. The key features of the current Palm OS Garnet are simple, single-tasking environment to allow launching of full-screen applications with a basic, common GUI set. Monochrome or color screens with resolutions up to 480 by 320 pixel. Handwriting recognition input system called Graffiti 2. Hot sync technology for data synchronization with desktop computers. Sound playback and record capabilities. Simple security model. Device can be locked by password. Arbitrary application records can be made private. TCP/IP network access. Serial port, USB, infrared, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connections. Expansion memory card support. Defined standard data format for personal information management applications to store calendar, address, task and note entries. Accessible by third-party applications. Included with the OS is also a set of standard applications, with the most relevant ones for the aforementioned PIM operations. Version history and technical background. Manufacturers are free to implement different features of the OS in the devices or even add new features. This version history describes the officially licensed version from Palm, Palm Source, Access. All versions prior to Palm OS 5 are based on top of the AMX 68000 kernel licensed from KADAK Products Limited. While this kernel is technically capable of multitasking, the terms and conditions of that license specifically state that Palm may not expose the API for creating, manipulating tasks within the OS. Palm OS 1.0 Palm OS 1.0 is the original version present on the Pilot 1000 and 5000. Version 1.0 features the classic PIM applications address, datebook, memo pad, and to-do list. Also included is a calculator and the security tool to hide records for private use. Palm OS 1.0 does not differentiate between RAM and file system storage. Applications are installed directly into RAM and executed in place. As no dedicated file system is supported, the operating system depends on constant RAM refresh cycles to keep its memory. The OS supports 160 by 160 monochrome output displays. User input is generated through the Graffiti handwriting recognition system or optionally through a virtual keyboard. The system supports data synchronization to another PC via its hot sync technology over a serial interface. The latest bug fix release is version 1.0.7. Palm OS 2.0 Palm OS 2.0 was introduced on March 10, 1997 with the Palm Pilot Personal and Professional. This version adds TCP/IP network hot sync, and display backlight support. The last bug fix release is version 2.0.5. Two new applications, Mail and Expense, are added, and the standard PIM applications have been enhanced. Palm OS 3.0 Palm OS 3.0 was introduced on March 9, 1998 with the launch of the Palm 3 series. This version adds URDA infrared and enhanced font support. This version also features updated PIM applications and an update to the application launcher. Palm OS 3.1 adds only minor new features, like network hot sync support. It was introduced with the Palm iiX and Palm V. Palm OS 3.2 adds web clipping support, which is an early Palm-specific solution to bring web content to a small PDA screen. It was introduced with the Palm 7 organizer. Palm OS 3.3 adds faster hot sync speeds and the ability to do infrared hot syncing. It was introduced with the Palm VX organizer. Palm OS 3.5 is the first version to include native 8-bit color support. It also adds major convenience features that simplify operation, like a context-sensitive icon bar or simpler menu activation. The Datebook application is extended with an additional agenda view. This version was first introduced with the Palm iiIC device. The latest bug fix release is version 3.5.3. As a companion, Palm later offered a mobile Internet Kit software upgrade for Palm OS 3.5. This included Palm's web clipping software, Multimail version 2.26 email software, Handphone version 1.3 SMS software, and NeoMail version 1.5 WAP browser. Palm OS 4.0 Palm OS 4.0 was released with the new Palm M500 series on March 19, 2001. This version adds a standard interface for external file system access. External file systems are a radical change to the operating system's previous in-place execution. Now, application code and data need to be loaded into the device's RAM, similar to desktop operating system behavior. A new universal connector with USB support is introduced. The previous optional mobile Internet Kit is now part of the operating system. Version 4.0 adds an attention manager to coordinate information from different applications, with several possibilities to get the user's attention, including sound, LED blinking or vibration. 16-bit color screens and different time zones are supported. This version also has security and UI enhancements. Palm OS 4.1 is a bug fix release. It was introduced with the launch of the Palm i705. The later minor OS update to version 4.1.2 includes a backport of Graffiti 2 from Palm OS 5.2. Palm OS 4.2 Simplified Chinese Edition is targeted especially for the Chinese market with fully simplified Chinese support. co-released with Palm OS 5.3. No device has been manufactured with this version up to now. Palm OS 5 was unveiled by the Palm subsidiary Palm Os in June 2002 and first implemented on the Palm Tungsten T. It is the first version to support ARM devices and replace the Cadix KMX68000 kernel with the custom MCK kernel, named for its developer, that was written in-house by Palm. Applications written for the prior OS versions use the older Dragon Ball 68K instruction set and are supported via the Palm Application Compatibility environment emulator in Garnet. Even with the additional overhead of pace, Palm applications usually run faster on ARM devices than on previous generation hardware. New software can take advantage of the ARM processes with small units of ARM code, referred to as armlets. With a more powerful hardware basis, Palm OS 5 adds substantial enhancements for multimedia capabilities. High-density 320 by 320 screens are supported together with a full digital sound playback and record API. Palm's separate Bluetooth stack is added together with an IEEE 802.11b Wi-Fi stack. Secure network connections over SSL are supported. The OS can be customized with different color schemes. For Palm OS 5, Palm Source developed and licensed a web browser called Palm Source Web Browser based on Access NetFront 3.0 browser. Palm OS 5.2 is mainly a bug fix release, first implemented in the Samsung SGHI 500 in March 2003. It added support for 480 by 320 resolutions and introduced the new handwriting input system called Graffiti 2. The new input system was prompted by Xerox lawsuit win against Palm. Graffiti 2 is based on Jot from CIC. The last bug fix release is version 5.2.8. Palm OS 5.3 Simplified Chinese Edition, released in September 2003, added full simplified Chinese support, further support for QVGA resolutions, and a standard API for virtual graffiti called Dynamic Input Area. This version first shipped on Lenovo's P100 and P300 handhelds. Palm OS Garnet added updated Bluetooth libraries and support for multiple screen resolutions ranging from 160 by 160 up to 480 by 320. It first shipped on the Trio 650 in November 2004. This version also introduced the Garnet moniker to distinguish it from Palm OS Cobalt 6.0. The last bug fix release is version 5.4.9. Garnet OS 5.5 dropped the Palm moniker and, as of 2007, update, is a current version developed by Access. This version is dedicated for use inside of the Garnet VM virtual machine. Garnet VM was announced and released by Access in November 2007 as a core part of the Access Linux platform and as an emulator allowing Nokia Internet tablets to run applications written for the Garnet OS. In June 2010, Access released Garnet VM version 6. Palm OS Cobalt. Palm OS Cobalt was the designated successor for Palm OS 5. It was introduced on February 10, 2004, but is no longer offered by Access. Palm OS 6.0 was renamed to Palm OS Cobalt to make clear that this version was initially not designated to replace Palm OS 5, which adopted the name Palm OS Garnet at the same time. Palm OS Cobalt introduced modern operating system features to an embedded operating system based on a new kernel with multitasking and memory protection, a modern multimedia and graphic framework, new security features, and adjustments of the PIM file formats to better cooperate with Microsoft Outlook. Palm OS Cobalt 6.1 presented standard communication libraries for telecommunication, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth connectivity. Despite other additions, it failed to interest potential licensees to Palm OS Cobalt. Third-party OS enhancements. Several licensees have made custom modifications to the operating system. These are not part of the official licensed version. Palm developed a Bluetooth API for external Bluetooth SDIO cards for Palm OS 4.0 devices. The Bluetooth stack was later included in Palm OS 5. Palm added a virtual graffiti input area API especially for their Tungsten T3 device. This API was later superseded by the official Dynamic Input Area API in Palm OS 5.3. Palm added to Palm OS 5.4 the non-volatile file system, and used Flash for storage instead of DRAM, preventing data loss in the event of battery drain. However, this fundamentally changed the way programs were executed from the execute-in-place system that Palm OS traditionally used, and has been the source of many compatibility problems, requiring many applications to have explicit NVFS support added for them to become stable. For their camera-equipped devices, Palm added the CameraLib API. Sony added a library to support JogDeal input available on their CLIE organizers. Modernization. For several years, Palm Source had been attempting to create a modern successor for Palm OS 5 and have licensees implement it. Although Palm Source shipped Palm OS Cobalt 6.0 to licensees in January 2004, none adopted it for release devices. Palm Source made major improvements to Palm OS Cobalt with the release of Palm OS Cobalt 6.1 in September 2004 to please licensees. But even the new version did not lead to production devices. In December 2004, Palm Source announced a new OS strategy. With the acquisition of the mobile phone software company China Mobile Soft, Palm Source planned to port Palm OS on top of a Linux kernel, while still offering both Palm OS Garnet and Palm OS Cobalt. This strategy was revised in June 2005, when still no device with Palm OS Cobalt was announced. Palm Source announced it was halting all development efforts on any product not directly related to its future Linux-based platform. With the acquisition of Palm Source by Access, Palm OS for Linux was changed to become the Access Linux platform, which was first announced in February 2006. The initial versions of the platform and software development kits for the Access Linux platform were officially released in February 2007. As of January 2011, the Access Linux platform has yet to ship on devices. However, development kits exist and public demonstrations have been showcased. Palm, Inc., the main licensee of Palm OS Garnet, did not license Access Linux platform for their own devices. Instead, Palm developed another Linux-based operating system called Palm WebOS. On February 11, 2009, Palm CEO Ed Colligan said there would be no additional Palm OS devices. Palm is focusing on Palm WebOS and Windows mobile devices. On April 1, 2009, Palm announced the availability of a Palm OS emulator for its WebOS.